Lance Olson has moved on to the corporate world. We're looking for the next great Utah sports radio talent.
There's something for everyone.
While we do that, you get stuck with this guy.
Hey, everybody, here's our star.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hands and Scotty. No. Hey, that's one for the jar. Sorry about that. Right out of the gate.
Put that over there now.
I know. I'm sorry. You know what? It's just, I honestly, if we're going to be truthful about this, I actually have been better than I thought I would be because I am very much a creature of habit and I get stuck in my ruts very easily. So the fact that I think that's maybe 3 in a week and a half, I actually feel pretty good about that.
Hey, so I do not make the mistake of doing this. I've completely ripped him from my life. Like I've unfollowed. I got rid of his. I don't have his phone number anymore. I have just cut it.
You're done.
I won't make that mistake.
He's dead to me.
Dead to me.
Oh man. Yeah. It's been a couple days. Usually, usually we go back and forth quite a bit, but it's been a couple days. I miss my guy for sure. I know you all do as well. As you heard the big voice guy, as we came in, look, we are going to find our guy, and we're going to make it happen. we got a lot of really fun stuff planned over the next week and a half. By the way, did the shipment go out, if you know what I mean?
Yes, it did.
Nice.
It did go out yesterday.
Okay.
Should be there. It'll be there by Monday for sure.
Okay, because he's good to go Thursday and Friday of next week. And then
it'll definitely be there before then.
Okay, so we do have, let's just say this, Kevin Graham is going to help us out with some shows. So I know it's been a minute, and you've heard KG a little bit on the morning show doing weekly hits, but Kevin Graham is going to co-host the show with me for a couple days. I also, and I will talk to you offline about this, get real corporate. We'll meet offline on this. There's another guy that I think I would like to get some equipment out to him, but I think we might try to airlink that guy. But I'll tell you about that during the break. And guess who joins us coming up tomorrow? Matt Wells joins us coming up tomorrow.
Play that.
Yes, you can.
Can I play that?
You absolutely can. Matt Wells will join us coming up tomorrow and fired up. He will join us on the show. So, again, you've heard from Tim Lacombe. You'll hear from Matt Wells. You'll hear from Kevin Graham. We've got some other people coming down the pipeline, and hopefully we can figure out what direction we're going to go here pretty soon. Like I said, I'm going to take my time, and I understand that you want the best show possible, and I'm doing everything I can to provide that for you. Look, Lloyd and I, we talk all morning long. I answer his calls. He answers my calls. And we just go back and forth on how we can produce the best quality radio show.
Communication is next level.
Next level.
Absolutely. Usually you answer on the first ring. It's like, wow. It's almost like you're doing nothing.
All right, we got to do a little house cleaning here. So you called me this morning, and I was getting some work done at the house. I had a guy over. We had some issues with some things, and so I was talking to him, and we were going through, we got to replace this, do this, blah, blah, blah. And so I texted you, and I said, I will call you back here in a few minutes when I'm available. And then I called you back.
At 11:40.
No, go check your phone. It wasn't 11:40.
It was close to 11:40. Can we agree it was probably the midpoint of the 11 o'clock hour?
All right, you called me at 10:08 a.m., all right? Now, it was over an hour, but I said
like an old couple right now.
I said it was 11:22. I was wrong. It was 11:23 that I called you.
So close to 11:30. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then you sent me right to voicemail, and then sent me that emoji with the middle finger, which I didn't really appreciate.
I was eating my enchiladas, and so sorry.
Can't
get it. You're not going to get in between me and my enchiladas.
Can't get in the way of those enchiladas.
No.
Well, it's better that than cup of noodles in the middle of the show. So
yes.
We're making progress. So yeah, and then I got and then I got reprimanded by Lloyd when I came in. Answer my call. I'm like, well,
our communication is going to have to, if we're going to survive this relationship together,
it takes
the
two to
communication is going to have to increase.
That is true.
Nothing happened. Nothing. No news to talk about today at all.
No,
I don't even know what
nothing.
the heck we're going to do today.
Nothing at all. In fact, enough of us yammering. Let's get to it. Starting lineup, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, brought to you by our good friends at Mountain Land Supply. And I want to shout out Tim and the crew at Mountain Land Supply. They have been so good to this station, so good to the show, and we cannot thank them enough. Honestly, Tim and the crew, you know the drill. If water runs through it, they're going to help you out, whether it's indoor plumbing, outdoor irrigation, HVAC, and there's so many other aspects to what they do at Mountain Land Supply. Go to mountainlandsupply.com and find the location near you. But please, we can't thank these guys enough. They've been great and good partners of ours and will continue to be so. So we appreciate everything they've done for us. All right. So where to begin? All right. So yesterday, I went on the air and I talked about how I couldn't quite figure out the hypocrisy of what was going on with your national talking heads out there that wanted to vilify the Utah Jazz in how they were tanking. Because one thing we've learned is that tanking's okay, but apparently there's unwritten rules of tanking. So there's tanking that is acceptable and tanking that is not acceptable. Like there's a code among thieves, if you will, among tankers. So you can tell the world in your injury report that so-and-so is hurt. You can make up whatever injury you want. You can come up with a hamstring, the flu, whatever the case is. You can
fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Just come up with all kinds of weird things. Gastrointestinal distress. I mean, just the sky's the limit on what you can come up with. It doesn't matter. You don't have to prove it. You just have to put it on your injury report. That goes out to the media and the rest of the public. And so that is okay. You can do that. You can even shut down somebody for an entire season and say why. We'll get to that coming up here in just a minute. So that's all acceptable. That is the code among thieves, that if you are going to tank, there's a way to do it, and everybody's cool with it. Nobody blinks an eye because it's been going on for decade after decade after decade after decade. All right, cool. Well, what the Utah Jazz did, and you know this by now, but the Jazz said, hey, look, we just made this trade. We've got Larry Markkinen. We got Jaren Jackson Jr. We want to see how they work together on the court. Ultimately, wins and losses don't really matter to us that much. So what we're going to do is we will play them for the first 3 quarters of a game, and then the fourth quarter, once we see what we need to see, we'll shut them down. That is unacceptable. That was crossing the line. That is where you can no longer be a dignified member of the NBA. You are wrecking the credibility of the league if you do that. And so it's like, okay, so you can lie and just flat out make stuff up, and that's okay. But what you can't do is you can't, in no way, shape, or form, play your guys, say they're healthy, they're ready to go, and then just choose not to play them in the fourth quarter. That is where things go wrong. So you got Windhorse on ESPN. You got a bunch of people just losing their mind. Bobby Marks, Bobby's a capologist. I don't know why he's getting into the fray on this. That dude's a number dude. Stay in your lane, if you will. So everybody's losing their collective minds over this. So last night, I'm thinking, okay, what about this? Why is there such a high level of hypocrisy on this? Why would one thing be okay and the other not be okay? And not just not okay, but just the hammer of Thor from the national media has just clung on to the Utah Jazz about this. Well, a couple things. Number one, Jazz are an easy target. Okay, you're not going to say that about Greg Popovich. Nobody wants to get Greg mad at him back in the day. So nobody would have said that if Pop would have done it. Nobody says it if the Lakers would have done it. Nobody would have said it if the Knicks would have done it. There's certainly teams around the league, Boston probably one of them, that they can get away with certain things that teams like the Utah Jazz can't. It's, the old adage, you're going to punch downhill a little bit. So, all right, you're mad at one guy. Well, guess what? This other guy did it. We're going to go after him because we can't go after the other guy. All right, fine. That was my initial thought. But then you start thinking, okay, why is this situation in particular making everybody angry? Okay, so it's like that old movie, what's that old JFK movie? Was it called JFK with Kevin Costner in it?
Yep.
Okay. It's like that old movie where he sits next to the old guy and the guy says, follow the money. Follow the money. All right, so let's follow the money here. who has a vested interest in the NBA in terms of making sure it's profitable for them. All right? Somebody out there who is totally okay if you announce injuries beforehand, you give a day, 2 day, even the morning of notice, so you have hours in between letting everybody know that somebody's going to play and somebody's not going to play. And then, so who would be okay with that? And then who would not be okay with, in the course of a game, shutting down a player? So he plays 3 quarters and then you shut it down. And then who else would feel that way about both sides of those issues and also would have a lot of members of the national media in their back pocket? Well, could it be? Could it be some people that may like to offer up a wager here and there? Maybe somebody who likes to offer up a little online wagering, if you will. Because who would have the most to lose with the Utah Jazz messing with their lineups in the course of a game? It would be gamblers, right? Especially those that like their prop bets. Especially those that are hammering the fourth quarter or going, like a halftime score, individual scoring, things along those lines. It's your prop bettors that are certainly not going to be happy about this. And when you have gamblers upset, then you have big-time sponsors of the league at a national level that are getting a little upset. And then you get people who also are part of media businesses who accept a lot of money from DraftKings and FanDuel, and you can go down the line of everybody else out there. So when they say, hey, look, we don't like what's going on here, just let your people know that this is not okay. So all of a sudden, now you get this moral high horse of Brian Windhorse and Bobby Marks, Matt Moore, these guys that have a big following, and why all of a sudden have they sunk their teeth into it? Because you've got you ticked off the wrong people. You made the wrong people upset. And by that, you know what? Like, look, the Jazz, there's no cousin Sal who's going to take you behind the back street and club your kneecap. So what's their best alternative? Well, try to get the national public against you and try to make you look like the villain. Play the PR game. Now, look, this is me speculating. I'm totally 100% speculating. But again, follow the money. Who would be upset by this? Because tanking's been going on forever. This is just a different version of it. But this is a version that got a lot of people's feathers ruffled. Why would that be? When everything else has been fine. Oh, totally fine. Greg Popovich does his thing. Everybody rolls his eyes. Well, that's Pop being Pop. And then other people are like, well, you know what? Look, this is a historic draft coming up. So, you know what? There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to shut it down, and they're going to try to manipulate things so that they can have a top 3 or a top 5 pick coming up in the NBA draft. People don't understand how vital it is for the Utah Jazz to make sure they hold on to their pick this year. You could have a franchise-altering player if you're picking in the top 3, 4, maybe even 5 in this draft. That's how deep this draft is. That's how talented this draft is. Like, there is somebody that you can snag at the top of this lottery that will completely remake your organization, that has that potential. Everybody knows it. So why would some people out there be angry about how the Jazz are handling? First off, there's a certain element of jealousy. Maybe there's just a lot of jealousy with other teams out there saying, hey, we're trying to do the same thing. We like, what you're doing is actually a little smarter than what we've been doing, and doggone it, we're a little upset we didn't think of that first. But ultimately, you just ticked off the wrong people. So if I'm the Utah Jazz, I'm like, fine, all right. You got the rules out there? We'll play by your stupid rules. And the Jazz announced today that Jaren Jackson Jr. will have surgery on his knee, and nothing in terms of ACLs or MCLs or meniscuses or anything like that. There was a growth inside of his knee. They didn't like it. So preemptively, they're going to have surgery, take it out, and shut him down for the year. Could he have played through it? I don't know. Probably. He looked great in the last few games for the Utah Jazz. And I'm not here at all saying that the Utah Jazz are intentionally making a decision to shut him down. What I'm saying is, like, all right, you know what? We could hold off on this in a normal year, but if you're going to be babies about what we're doing, fine. We'll shut him down.
Something he could have had done maybe in the offseason.
Maybe we could have done it in the offseason. But if you guys are going to act like this and make us look like the bad guys, then fine. We'll play by your stupid rules. You want us to do that? Fine. Jaren Jackson's out for the year. And you know what? All of a sudden, I would come up with if it was me and I was Austin Ainge, or I was Danny Ainge, or I was Ryan Smith, I'd be like, hey, Laurie, guess what? Your back's not feeling well. He's like, no, my back's feeling pretty good. No, it's not feeling good. And you got my private jet. I'm going to take you to, pick an island in the Bahamas that you want to go to, and it's yours. And just stay there. We'll see you back here when the off season begins. There's a gym there. Get your workouts in and stuff like that. But take your family down, enjoy your time, and we'll see you back here. Coming up in late spring. Yeah, because look, if this is what you want, if the NBA is so upset and the national media is so upset because the Jazz are actually playing their guys and using selective playing time in terms of shutting it down in the fourth quarter, but showing fans who paid good money to go to those games. All right? Look, NBA tickets are not cheap. And do I think the product's worth it? Absolutely. I think the Jazz do a phenomenal job, better than most teams in the league on their game presentation. You walk into a Jazz game and you are immediately inundated with all kinds of cool things, cool opportunities around the game itself. It's not just about the game, it's about the experience. Ryan Smith and his crew have upped it up 100 times. And so props to them for what they've been able to accomplish and what they've built. So you go to a Jazz game, you're going to be entertained. But you also spent money on a ticket. You want to see your guys. You want to see Larry Markkinen. You want to see Jaren Jackson Jr. How great was it if you were at that Jazz game last night and you got to see an integral part of the building blocks of the future of the Utah Jazz up close and in person doing his thing when the Jazz just completely obliterated their opponent? You'd be like, that was great. Well, guess what? You can't have it anymore because everybody got upset. Because Brian Windhorst threw a fit and everybody else is complaining. So it's like, fine. Jaren Jackson, guess what? You're done. You're done. We're going to take our star player and go home. Now, again, I'm speculating on a lot of this. I don't think that was a vocal decision in the, over the Zions Bank basketball campus. I don't think that's actually how it went down. But you know what? If it were me, I'd do it. I'd 1,000% do it. I'd say, look, okay, fine. You want us to play by your dopey rules and your code of conduct amongst the thieves that are all trying to tank for a top 3 pick. Okay, fine. Jaren Jackson, you're done. Go get that knee taken care of. We'll see you back here in late spring. Laurie. Now, they haven't announced anything on Laurie, but I'd do it right now. I'd just be like, okay, fine. Give that proverbial middle finger to the league and say, this is what you want. This is what's acceptable behavior. Then we'll do it. Well, fine. It's all good. The Jazz have tried to do things the right way. They really have. They've tried to, knowing that especially this year. Last year, last year the Jazz really bottomed out. And it was a point of emphasis to really run that thing into the ground. This year, they've been competitive. They've really tried to take a different approach. Are they still losing games at a high level? Sure. Are they near, 19, 20 games under 500? Absolutely. If anything, they're doing too good of a job being competitive. And for all those people that were upset at what the Jazz did, hey, they've won 2 out of 3. All right, so if you're cranky about what's going on, I don't know why, because guess what? The Jazz won. They lost that first game in Orlando. Then they went on the road, got a win to close out the road trip, and then they got a win last night. So it's not like it's working, and it's not like the product is down. If anything, the product's better. But yet, nope. We're really messing around with the integrity of the game. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. All right, this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends.
Nice.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Joining us now, good friend of the program. He covers BYU at KSLSports.com. Cougar Insider Mitch Harper, kind enough to join us. Mitch, how are you?
Doing good, Scotty. Happy to be on with you.
Well, you know what? I always love chatting with you because you're one of the best in the business, if not the best, especially when it comes to covering BYU. I do wish we were speaking under better circumstances, though, because these stories, I mean, look, you like to talk sports. We never really like when we have to talk news as being part of the sports world. But Parker Kingston, with the announcement yesterday, is and this BYU football team dealing with some stuff, kind of reset the scene and what you've learned lately.
Yeah, it's jarring stuff, Scotty, to say the least, and it's a bombshell for this for Parker Kingston and this BYU football program and the alleged victim here. Back in February 2025, Parker Kingston was alleged to have committed first-degree felony rape. He's been charged. He's booked. He's currently in jail. Court documents were unsealed today, and the alleged victim noted on February 27, 2025, she's 20 years old. She contacted officers in St. George at St. George Regional Hospital, reporting a sexual assault. On June 3rd, 2025, she was interviewed with Washington County Attorney's Office. And what's also interesting today is that it was noted in the unsealed documents is that Parker Kingston was interviewed. No date given in terms of when he was interviewed, but he was arrested yesterday. He's currently in jail. He's expected to go to court tomorrow. But again, first-degree felony rape. These are serious allegations. And, the last thing I think people think of in these sort of situations is football.
Yeah.
But it's intense stuff for Parker Kingston, the alleged victim involved here.
So this alleged incident took place last February. It's a year later. Was that just the process of gathering information and gathering evidence? Is why this has been a year apart?
That would be the expectation as far as, gathering the evidence here. It's been noted that based on the information that they gathered, they felt it was necessary to issue a warrant and, have the defendant, Parker Kingston, in this case, be faced with charges in this situation. So clearly taking their time, gathering that evidence and that information to press those charges. And he's currently in jail without bail right now.
Do you think that and BYU gave the correct response as you would expect? They're aware of the situation. They'll let the process go. However, their involvement in terms of discipline, that's going to be certainly a private issue. But do you think that there was any kind of knowledge whatsoever that Parker was dealing with something like this?
That's the big question here with the timeline spanning over a year and with the tidbit about him having an interview with authorities. Again, there was no date given on that. It makes you wonder if there was, in fact, knowledge of this. And, Parker Kingston, of course, was BYU's leading receiver this past season and, a top special teams guy as well in terms of the punt return game. The knowledge, really the only thing that BYU noted in their statement was that they became aware of the arrest yesterday. They didn't really tip their hand in terms of when they first became aware of this investigation. That's kind of important on these sort of situations is when was it known that this was being investigated? Because at a place like BYU that on top of a criminal court system or legal charges, and then there's the honor code too. And in these documents today, Parker Kingston in that interview, he claimed that the sexual activity was consensual. So he admits to, publicly admitting to, violating the school's honor code. And if there was knowledge of that investigation and whenever that date happened, that interview, again, it wasn't disclosed what that date was, that interview, that raises some questions for sure.
So you go back and Jake Retzloff, there were accusations made. That was later dropped. But because of the honor code violation, he ends up having to transfer. So, based on past history, based on that he admitted that, yes, there was something that happened. It was consensual, at least according to him. It kind of, and I know I don't want to, this isn't about football. This is about much bigger things. But back to football a little bit, it does appear that probably Parker Kingston's career at BYU is probably done in some way, shape, or form.
No question. I mean, it's hard to imagine a path back from, this sort of thing. It's very difficult. And, because BYU with the honor code and everything that comes with that. I mean, it's hard to envision a path forward unless all of this gets completely cleared and Parker Kingston's name is cleared. He still violated the
Yeah.
honor code, and at a minimum, that was 7 games for Jake Retzloff, and that would be a lengthy suspension for BYU's top receiver. So it's hard to picture a scenario where we're seeing Parker Kingston part of this team, but the process plays out. And I will say that the Jake Retzloff situation that was a civil lawsuit, which
yes.
was so kind of different. But I thought BYU handled that appropriately, and it ended up being, I think, a situation where I guess it could maybe had an ending where Retzloff still had an opportunity to play football, and he got to the playoff. BYU had its success, and people moved forward from that situation. This one feels just it's a different level of intensity to all of this. I mean, all these allegations are always jarring and intense. This one, when again you're talking about Parker Kingston's in jail, and Jake Retzloff never faced that. I mean, after those initial allegations in that civil lawsuit, Jake Retzloff was still part of summer conditioning and going through workouts with BYU, whereas Kingston's in jail right now.
Yeah.
And that just adds another layer to all of that. And I mean, I've followed BYU football for a very long time. I don't recall many players over the years that I've been following the program where a guy that you knew was in jail is then running it back for in football on the field months later at a place like BYU. But we'll have to see on the timeline and let this due process play out.
Well, and that's the thing. Obviously, if he is guilty of what's being accused, he needs to go away for a long time, because in no way, shape, or form is that acceptable in any way. And so, yes, I mean, especially when you throw the first degree, the fact that it took a long time, which means you don't sit on something, you don't work on something for a year unless you've really got something. And so, our thoughts certainly with the victim and the situation just is, man, your heart aches for the victim, for the family, and everybody else involved in this. Let's move on to something certainly a little bit more enjoyable to talk about. BYU in basketball gets the win over Baylor the other night. Do you feel like that there were some things fixed and that BYU's on a better path, or was it just the fact that they played a team that, frankly, wasn't particularly good?
I think that they did fix a little bit in terms of, I think that this team is getting a little bit more contributions from Kennard Davis in that game, and that was positive. Defensively, though, BYU still showing issues. They're giving up career highs to many guys, it feels like, every single night, and to give up 94 points to a Baylor team that was, pretty run-of-the-mill in the Big 12, that's a little bit concerning. And, BYU, all of their 6 wins in Big 12 play have come against teams that are either 9th or lower in the Big 12 standings. So they don't have a signature win, you could say, in Big 12 play yet. The opportunities are going to be in front of them, but they haven't beat the big dogs in the league yet. And so that's, I think, what's still kind of waiting to see that from BYU to really say things have turned the corner from that, 5 out of 6 game stretch where they lost those games from that period. But, I think that what we did learn, though, from that game, Scotty, is that BYU, the top end of this roster, will always be a tough out with anyone that they face. And to score 99 points when you only hit 3 3-pointers, it speaks to their firepower and their efficiency, particularly from that big 3 that, you get into March, you've got 3 guys that you can confidently know can get you a bucket, and that's sometimes half the battle in a postseason setting.
So Jimmer's being honored coming up this weekend. Does it feel like it's been, 15 years now since Jimmer Mania?
That's right, 15 years, and he's
Wow.
kind of like a first ballot Hall of Famer in a way for BYU standards when it comes to jersey retirements. This is the earliest you can get your jersey in the rafters at BYU. You have to wait 15 years after your playing career is over. And right when the 15-year mark hit for Jimmer, Brian Santiago and BYU made that call and are getting him into the rafters, and well-deserved. I mean, that guy was a a legend in every sense of the word. I still kind of wonder I don't know if I would say he's the best BYU player of all time, because I still think that probably goes to Danny Ainge, but I think Jimmer created a generation of BYU basketball fans. I think before Jimmer, there were, BYU football fans, and yes, BYU fans showed up to basketball games, but it was nothing like it is now. And I think it all kind of traces back to that Jimmer mania, where people really invested into BYU basketball because, 30 years ago, they were the worst program in the country at 1-25, hit rock bottom. And then it was kind of brick by brick building it up after that point. And then they kind of culminated with Jimmer. And ever since, it's been, higher expectations, higher commitment to BYU basketball. And now you're seeing it at an even higher stage with Kevin Young and AJ DeBonsa. So Jimmer was, significant in terms of giving BYU the belief that they could, win big in college basketball, because for a long period of time before him, BYU was just a complete afterthought in terms of basketball. And he really revived, I think, the program and really created a generation of fans, I would say. So his impact will be felt for a very long time for BYU basketball.
Well, and that's the thing. When you have somebody who transcends Utah sports, and there was the Jimmer mania was a national phenomenon. It just wasn't Utah, it wasn't just this area. It wasn't just an LDS thing. It was oh my gosh, this guy has taken over the sport in a period of time unlike anything we've ever seen. And I will still, to my grave, when I look at, the top 10 events that I've covered or seen live, that semifinal game against New Mexico, when that place was packed with BYU fans and Lobo fans, and Jimmer put on a show in Vegas at the Mountain West Conference Tournament, still probably, I've covered a lot of cool events. I've seen a lot of cool things. That's probably will always be in my top 10 and somewhere in that ranking.
That definitely was an all-timer. I mean, 52 points, and those Mountain West tournaments are always a big deal. They've always been, and that one was near the top. I mean, I even remember when in Jimmer's senior year, on the early days of Twitter, when the place was kind of fun, actually, Chad Ochocinco, leading up to the BYU TCU game, is saying, "Where can I find my boy Jimmer?" And that was a game on the mountain. I'm thinking, Chad Ochocinco's watching the mountain? Are you kidding me? Like, this is the reach of Jimmer Fredette. But Jimmer was, and that's the thing too, it was kind of like Bigfoot in a way, where he's this guy that's, dropping 40 footers, and he's on this channel called The Mountain and CSTV. So no one could see it. And it was just this Sports Center highlight. And it was still the early days of social media. It was kind of a unique time where he was at this intersection of new media kind of coming up in the early days, and then traditional media loved him. I mean, it was quite the ride for BYU basketball and for Jimmer, and might not ever see anything like it. Like, AJ DeBonsa has been, outstanding for BYU, but I still don't think it has like the reach, the phenomenon level of Jimmer. Like, AJ's better basketball player, but Jimmer was just something. I don't know how to even compare it. It was so unique and one of one. Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. AJ DeBonsa could go on a tear, and I mean, he already is on a tear, but it'll never match the fever of that run. And again, I think there were a lot of factors involved that played into it, but my goodness, that was just that was a hell of a run for sure. Hey, Mitch, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for breaking things down for us. Again, great coverage of all things BYU at KSLSports.com. Hope you're well, my friend. Let's do it again soon.
Hey, thanks, Scotty. Appreciate it. Hope you're well as well, and talk again soon.
You got it. There he is, Mitch Harper, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, take a break. What you may have missed coming up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on back. You're listening to 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, we got a busy show for you. Coming up a little bit later on, Tony Jones will join the program. Morgan Scally, head coach of the University of Utah, will also join the show as well.
By the way, I thought TJ was going to join us. He was going to join us over the video stream. Confirmed everything. He actually just called me. And now we're not going to get TJ on the video stream.
Oh, okay. Well,
had you heard the story of his broken computer? Did you see it on social?
Yeah, he got hit with the shirt
shirt
cannon. Yeah.
He still doesn't have a laptop.
Wow. Yeah, Athletics got to get him a new lapper.
I know. I was like, you don't have one yet? Come on.
Oh, boy.
It's working off his phone, apparently.
Well, that's no bueno. Yeah, no, remember we had the footage of Locke getting hit by a T-shirt, right?
Got the audio, too.
Do you have it? Dave Nellis joins us, AmericaFirst.com. By the way, you know what? I was going to bring one into you. The other night at Utah State was Spectrum Magic Night. And you've been up there. You know how the seats are all different colors. And so they had a T-shirt to match every seat up there. And so it's beautiful shirt. It says Spectrum Magic on the first. You flip it around on the other side, America First Credit Union.
We love to sponsor. We love to be where families are, where players are. We love to just get out in the community. So we're happy to and very proud to sponsor.
So you'll like this. So David Locke was calling a game, and there's Bear or somebody out there with a T-shirt cannon, and let's say Locke took some friendly fire.
53-44. Jazz by 9. Full timeout now. 1:57 left. I didn't get to see the replay on that. We'll try to see if we can get it when we come back. Jazz by 9. 1:57 left in the set. Oh, my God. Hashtag Jazz Blast is going to be quite something if someone's listening to the radio. Thank goodness we got halftime here in a second. I'm going to need it. So for those of you, I apologize. I have no idea if I said anything or anything at all, but they shoot T-shirts out of the gun here in the building, and I got hit by one. I'm sorry. I am really kind of out of it right now.
Anyway, Locke taking friendly fire out there. I thought you'd like that one.
Hear the cannon go.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny how many people will jump over other people,
Oh, I know.
other spectators down 3 rows just to get a free T-shirt. And here he gets one for free, but wasn't so pleasant.
I know. Lloyd wants one just to hit people in the office. Just be like, all right, you're out of line.
Oh, I need to make that happen.
Yeah.
I would love a
I know you would.
Team building exercise.
And it's
Absolutely.
And those T-shirts would be brought to you by America First Credit Union.
Absolutely.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.